A major car theft ring is broken up.
Are crack users spreading sexual diseases? Plus...
And I'm Harry Hairston. Diana Ross delivers a supreme performance here at the Fox Theater. A live report on that story and much more headed your way right now on the TV 50 10 o'clock news.
A Motown legend is back in the Motor City. Good evening, everyone. I'm Amir Makifson.
And I'm Roger McCoy. Well, she is one of the biggest superstars of all time with fans around the world. And tonight, Diana Ross has come home. And TV 50's Harry Hairston is standing by at the fabulous Fox Theater, where hometown fans are getting a treat and a wonderful homecoming show it is. Right, Harry?
That's right. She's come up to a very warm welcome and a great big crowd. People are just piling in here tonight for the second performance of Diana Ross. The first performance was just really wonderful. I did get a chance to take a look at that. And I'll tell you, Diana Ross delivered one heck of a supreme performance. Years gone by are suddenly back again. And who better to bring them back than the Supreme One herself, Diana Ross. A packed house here at the Fox savored that undescribable sound known as Motown. What is the Motown sound?
Best sound in town. That's what it is, really.
It's Diana Ross.
Diana Ross.
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 Motown is Motown sound.
Okay.
That's it.
Whatever Motown is, for Diana Ross, it started here on Detroit's Lower East Side. These were known as the Brewster Projects. They're fenced in now, but about 30 years ago, this place was wide open and full of fond memories. Memories for a person like Diana Ross, who grew up here. But by 1960, Diana moved to a new home, Barry Gordy's original Motown Studios on West Grand Boulevard. Great performers.
Great performers.
Class acts.
Class acts.
But still kids.
But still, that's right. You know, when the light hit her, she was truly on stage.
And that's just a little preview of what these folks are going to see inside. I had the opportunity to catch this show a lot earlier, and believe me, it was just a jam-packed Fox Theater in there. Everyone having a good time, going back to the 60s with Diana Ross and the Supremes, which she hit her medley, and it was just something to just take you back into time and make you remember the old Motown sound, which, of course, is still around. Reporting live from the Fox Theater in downtown Detroit, Harry Hairston, TV 50 10 o'clock news.
Okay, Harry, we were all humming along with you there. Wonderful performance and a fabulous entertainer. And besides, that homecoming celebration continues tomorrow night when Diana Ross holds her final concert. Amir?
Lovers of the rock and roll star are mourning the death tonight of a 1960s chart topper. At the age of 55, Grand Rapids native Del Shannon apparently shot and killed himself. His wife found his body late last night at their home in Santa Clara, California. A rifle was by his side. Shannon, in his distinctive voice, rode the airwaves in the early 1960s, making a mark with his #1 hit, Runaway, that stayed at the top for 4 weeks. In other news, officials at Detroit Receiving Hospital are angry tonight. They're not angry over that bacteria, which has infected scores of patients, though. Instead, as TV 50's Mike O'Neill found out, they're angry at the media for reporting the story.
We have seen this fear generated in citizens of this community who need medical care, who now, unfortunately and without just reasons, are afraid to go to the hospital. They are afraid that somehow they will come in contact with the media-generated mystery bacterium.
Was the media generating hysteria? Did concerns spread through the hallways and rooms at Receiving Hospital unnecessarily because of sensationalism? One expert says it's not reporters, but hospital officials who reacted badly.
Institutions just don't know how to react, particularly when there appears to be a resistant bacteria. I think people only need to be informed as part of their right to get that information.
And just what happened at receiving? According to the State Health Department, the number of infections caused by a resistant strain of bacterium rose sharply between September and January. 68 patients are identified as having contracted the infection. 22 of those patients died.
This bacterium is usually benign, not a cause of disease. It only causes infections in persons weakened by other diseases or conditions. We did not find the bacterium itself to be responsible for deaths, but it may have contributed to the other general medical problems.
The state is urging all hospitals in Michigan to increase testing for the bacterium. Receiving Hospital is being urged to review mechanical respiration practices. Infection control fundamentals, such as employees frequently washing their hands, should also be reinforced. Officials here at Receiving Hospital say they are going to implement recommendations from state public health officials. One of the problems, of course, is that the bacteria is so common. 1 out of 4 of us probably has it on our hands right now. But when we come to a hospital such as this, our resistance is down. So it's much tougher to fight such an infection. In Detroit, I'm Mike O'Neill, TV 50, 10 o'clock news.
The State Health Department emphasizes tonight that there is no cause for concern at the moment for patients at Receiving Hospital. And while doctors here try to solve the mystery of the ACV bacteria, federal doctors have another mystery to solve. Researchers at the Centers for Disease Control are baffled over the high death rate among blacks around the country. Their 13-year study found that blacks between the ages of 35 and 54 had a mortality rate more than twice as high as whites in the same age group. Now, they say there's no clear reason for the difference, but believe heredity, lifestyle, and environment could play a role in the high death rate.
Sexually transmitted diseases continue to spread tonight, and part of the reason why is the disease of drugs. As TV 50's Julia Jackson reports, when female addicts have no money to support their habits, they often barter their bodies instead.
Tonight, some addicts trade sex for drugs, but in the process, they're trading a lot more: gonorrhea, syphilis, and AIDS.
You know, this woman, she get over here with this man, and she putting her mouth anywhere he say put it. And it's bad when you have to prostitute yourself like that.
It's bad for the addicts who prostitute themselves and bad for their customers.
You'll see a lot of that going on. And a lot of guys I knew had to go in for physical checkup the end of that day or the day later. It caught up with them.
It's caught up with people across America. In a California community, 1 in every 4 teenagers is exchanging sex for drugs.
Most of them report that they're not really interested in the sexual act itself, that it is not something that enhances sex for them. Their interest in participating in sexual activity is strictly related to their desire to obtain the drug.
And here in the Detroit area tonight, addicts say they see the same nightmare.
She did do some sexual favor for him in order for him to give her, you know, a dying rock that probably ain't big as a pebble.
What's most alarming about all of this tonight is that there may be no solution. It's easy to think that all we need to do is educate addicts, but experts who work with them say that's not possible in reality. That when a user wants to get high, he or she will do anything to get it, even if it means getting a whole lot more. I'm Julia Jackson, TV 50, 10 o'clock news.
Tonight, the Centers for Disease Control report that in some cities during the past 2 years, they have experienced more than a 30% increase in gonorrhea. Well, doctors in Detroit amputated 2 fingers on a 19-year-old Warren man who injured his hands last week. As TV 50 reported, 19-year-old Robbie John cut off 8 of his fingers during an industrial accident. A team of doctors reattached the fingers in an unusual 20-hour operation, but 2 could not be saved. In the meantime, they are keeping an eye on those remaining 6 fingers, which seem to be surviving.
What surgery, huh?
Yeah, amazing stuff, really is.
Next on the 10 o'clock news, Michigan plans to show its might and fight the feds to stop the radioactive dump.
It was one of the biggest chop shops around town, and now police say they've shut it down.
And a local doctor's under arrest for dealing dangerous drugs. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Detroit City Council members voted unanimously today to reject the mayor's response to the city's deficit. Earlier this week, the mayor sent council a letter stating how he would trim $28 million from a projected $81 million deficit. Now, that wasn't good enough for council. They want the mayor to submit a plan on how to balance the total budget.
The mayor must propose a full plan explaining what the impact of the plan is on the community and the city administration has not done that. Therefore, the council could not intelligently respond to these three little pieces, so we turned them down.
Council members say that they want the mayor's proposal by February 27th. If they don't get it, they may take him to court. Meanwhile, tonight, state officials are confident Detroit will win its appeal, so it will not have to repay $100 million in utility taxes. This week, a Wayne County judge invalidated a 1988 opinion by Attorney General Frank Kelly that allowed the city to collect the 5% tax. Kelly says he is not surprised by the decision because it is not the first time a lower court has overruled it.
But it's very rare that our opinions are not upheld upon appeal. I feel confident that this case on appeal, that the opinion will be affirmed.
Kelly says that he will join Detroit in appealing the court ruling if the city asks him to do so. Meantime, Detroit Mayor Coleman Young and Governor Blanchard met for the first time to talk about the utility tax problem. Mayor Young is asking for the governor's support, saying that Detroit's problem is a state problem. Governor Blanchard is expressing his confidence that the city will win in the courts.
If this city is unable to meet its budget, if this city is forced to devastate its police force, and for any reason becomes economically unstable, the state will have to pick up the pieces.
Everybody wants to be helpful, and the best way now, I think, is for the appeal to be taken forthwith, and I predict that the Attorney General and the city will be affirmed.
Governor Blanchard said that he plans to meet with Mayor Young again very soon.
Damn the nuke dump and full speed ahead. That was the sentiment today when the state of Michigan said it's going to file a lawsuit against the federal government to block a low-level radioactive waste site. And tonight in a special earthwork report, we're going to take a look at the state's proposed action. It's as plain as daylight. Nobody in Michigan wants a low-level radioactive waste site near their town.
I do not feel they have been able to assure us that the facility would not leak, and therefore if it leaks, we're immediately in danger.
That message has also been heard loud and clear by Michigan politicians, including Governor Jim Blanchard. Today, he promised to sue Uncle Sam to abolish a federal law requiring Michigan to build a radioactive waste storage site.
And ultimately, we have to decide what's good for the people of Michigan, not what's good for people in some other place. It's really not effective.
Blanchard's talking about a 1980 federal law establishing 12 to 15 regional radioactive waste storage sites across the country. Michigan belongs to the 7-state Midwest Compact and has been chosen as the host state for all low-level radioactive waste generated within the region. Since that 1980 law was enacted, radioactive waste from universities, hospitals, and nuclear power plants has dropped.
Generation of that waste has declined by more than 60%.
75% here in the state of Michigan. So Michigan officials now say there's just no need for those 12 to 15 radioactive waste sites.
And it bothers me deeply that so many people lose sleep at night and have to spend their time fighting this process, fighting this project, when in reality we only need 2 or 3 sites in the United States.
In its lawsuit, the state will also argue that Michigan, right in the middle of the Great Lakes and with its underground waterways, is a poor choice for a radioactive waste site.
So it violates our sovereignty and our integrity when it's not needed, and in effect is forcing us to damage our own environment.
And the Attorney General says that suit is ready to go, but the state is now waiting to see if it will be joined in that case by New York State and other states opposed to that nuke dump in their own backyard. Well, cleanup crews in California are getting some local help tonight. Marine Pollution Control, a contractor based right here in Detroit, has sent a 15-man crew to Huntington Beach to help clean up the oil spill now beginning to hit the California coastline. Some of the nearly 300,000 gallons of oil is already washing up on the beaches and globs. Residents are also pitching in to save the shores, along with the Coast Guard, who's making sure that British Petroleum, the owner of that leaking tanker, is doing its part. The tanker was carrying about 21 million gallons when its hull was apparently punctured by the ship's anchor.
Coming up, a jury decides the fate of an alleged big-time crime boss.
And police arrest a man believed to be a big-time car thief, one of the biggest in the state. These stories coming up next on the 10 o'clock news.
In a surprise move, former President Reagan today decided that he will not claim executive privilege and he will testify in the trial of John Poindexter. Mr. Reagan will provide a videotaped deposition in Los Angeles next Friday, 4 days before Poindexter's trial is scheduled to begin. The former White House aide faces charges of conspiracy and obstructing Congress in the Iran-Contra scandal. He has insisted all along that the former president's testimony is essential to his defense. Now, Mr. Reagan still is appealing an order that he overturned part of his diaries for that trial. Well, the trial of reputed mafia boss John Gotti is over, and tonight he is a free man. A New York jury acquitted Gotti on all charges in the shooting of a union leader. It's yet another victory for Gotti over the government. Now, the reputed godfather of the Gambino crime family is nicknamed Teflon Don because charges against him just never seem to stick.
And a deadly update to a story we told you about last night. The victim of an apparent drive-by shooting on Detroit's east side has died. Police say that 53-year-old Benjamin Grabble of Grosse Pointe Farms was shot several times while driving his car near the intersection of Connors and East Jefferson in Detroit. He was struck in the chest when several large-caliber bullets ripped through a window and the passenger door. Police have no motive and no suspects in that case. And while police are looking for that suspect, they do have a suspect in custody who's believed to be one of the biggest car thieves in Michigan history. As TV50's Teresa Tomeo reports, the arrest is part of a major state crackdown on auto theft.
57-year-old Charles Oxendine of Garden City was picked up by police this morning at his home. His arrest on 112 felony counts was the result of a long investigation into what officials are calling a major chop shop operation.
We believe that Mr. Oxendine, and we think that we can prove this through our investigations, is probably a central figure in the chop shop operations and in the stolen parts distribution throughout Metro Detroit area.
Just a few hours after his arrest, Oxendine was arraigned in 21st District Court. Miller says the action against their alleged thief would never have happened without the help of the Auto Theft Prevention Authority. That's a special state program created some 5 years ago.
This was 8 months of very intensive, very time-consuming work that was done by our unit and by our investigators. Individual departments do not have the time to put into a player such as this, who is affecting all of our lives through an increased